don't have time for an intro today. This is the best you're getting. I'm about to fall.
Hi guys, Brand here. I ended up not falling, thankfully, but what I am falling for is behavior, because they decided to do the unthinkable and actually put out a quality of life, quote-unquote, health patch. We're not getting any content in between now and Five Nights at Freddy's. They officially announced it. Instead, we are going to be getting changes to the game, which a la Hens was a great idea, because I feel like if a lot of the FNAF fans came into a very broken, clunky game that we're all desensitized to, they probably just stop playing, which would be catastrophic for behavior. So overall, a smart idea, but I'll stop yapping. Let's go ahead and get through these changes, you and I together, fresh blind eyes. So first off, they're going to be looking at a surrender state. I know a lot of creators have wanted a surrender state. I have always been somebody who was very, very scared of the surrender state, because based upon what they would implement doing this, it could create a lot of people just going next for no reason. Why is my shadow off? Hey, you, get behind me. I'm one of those people that's actually fairly worried about implementing a surrender state into the game of Dead by Daylight, because if we've learned anything about the go next epidemic, it's that people just go next for the silliest of reasons, for the dumbest of reasons. Me and my friend, we didn't win at 5 gens, so we're out of here. I spawned in against Bly. I don't like facing Bly, so I'm just leaving. Like, people leave for the silliest, dumbest reasons, so having a surrender option is kind of scary. But looking at this, what we're seeing is that the surrender state will only be available, at least in this current, like, pre-thought form of it. Not to mention Greylock, by the way. Hot forms, haha. Anyways, all remaining survivors have been slugged, so all 4 men on the floor, and then all remaining survivors are kill bots. I've been in the situation before on Killer, where it's just been all 4 bots. And it's just kind of silly that I have to play out the rest of the match and not leave. I've known there's been a lot of people who've been on win streaks, and those people aren't allowed to technically DC their game and count it as a win. They have to finish out the match, which is just frankly kind of silly. I'm sure for the win streak Discord, they'll still be like, you can't surrender because that's technically a loss, but that's just how it goes. But what I'm more excited for is the 4 on the floor surrender option, because slugging is not inherently bad. Slugging is just smart pressure, but slugging out everybody on the floor for 4 whole minutes, yeah, that's an unwinnable situation, and there's no reason I should have to sit through 4 minutes of quite literally doing nothing for literally 0 reason. So the ability to concede is going to be great. The issue here being that there's a funky little perk called Plot Twist that you can, people already use to offensively get rid of corrupt. So I can definitely see 4 mans all running Plot Twist, running with we give up. So hopefully they consider that, because as somebody who formerly was a Plot Twist user, I can definitely see that being used for that nefarious purpose. If I've learned anything in my long tenure at Dead by Daylight, is if players can abuse something, they absolutely will. Flashbangs bugged, you see them every game all of a sudden. This is the kind of people we're dealing with. They're like, can I cheese and be obnoxious as possible? Yes, so I will do it. So yeah, hopefully they consider that. But otherwise, I like that it's only limited to like absolutely unwinnable situations, because if there was any sort of give or take, people would absolutely take in that situation. So yeah. Next up, we have gamma adjustments. We've actually talked about this before on the channel, talking about like filters and stuff. I think that a lot of modern monitors and TVs do have options for this that you can do manually, but some people playing on old equipment do not. So having the option to adjust the gamma, especially on those darker maps, I see that auto haven for some reason. A lot of the times, just like the contrast is so high that it's just the shadows are a little too dark. So this will be nice for people who don't have that equipment. So that's cool. And next, what I am looking for, the Go Next prevention. So the Go Next prevention looks like they're going to not go with a like change in the hook chance attempt, which is kind of like the main way people choose to give up. It looks like they're going to implement a Go Next penalty. It'll automatically count as a DC, and you'll lose an entire grade. This looks like it's going to be like a system and not so much an actual mechanic change. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're actually changing the mechanics at all for it. It looks like they're going to be just punishing people for it, implementing a punishment system. Now, trust me, I believe the Go Next epidemic is actually something that is actively killing Dead by Daylight. Like literally, I know people say that I was like, the Dead by Daylight is dying. It's like the content creator thing that they make every 2 seconds whenever they're bored. But like, I feel like the Go Next epidemic actually is killing the game, because if you actually can't play matches, and matches aren't happening, or the match quality is so poor, people will just not play. I don't know. I think if we've seen like how bots behave, if we've seen all the false bans behavior is handed out, the way that behavior says they don't false ban, but they absolutely do. They've even apologized publicly on Twitter for false bans before. It kind of just makes me nervous that this is going to be like potentially an automated thing that they just punish people for it. If you guys don't remember, my idea for this situation is move the attempts on hook, so your escape chances, your Kobe chances, to the end of the hook state. That way it's more of like a last ditch effort to get off hook if nobody's coming to get you, and not so much an abusable mechanic that you can use to just exit the game quickly. I think this also raises some potential concerns because sometimes matches just go silly. Like if there's a Ghostface running up to me, teabagging at me, and he just sits there, I'm like, I'm gonna boop him on the nose, you know? I'm gonna be like, hee hee. You know, like, is that gonna count because I'm technically playing the game correctly? I don't know. This might. It just depends on how they implement it. It's a little too early to call it, but I am nervous about it. They went the route of, we're not actually changing anything to prevent it. We're just going to punish people who are doing it. Depending on how they implement that might be really, really good or really, really bad. So I'm nervous, but it's better than nothing. Let's see. Next, we have extreme hiding and body blocking prevention. I'm assuming this is because of like the whole Devood situation that we had. That was last year. Yeah, with the two last survivors, holding them hostage, and then they held them hostage, and it was a big and it was a big hullabaloo in the community. So extreme hiding refers to. We're changing the way the AFK crows operate. Once they receive crows, their location will be immediately revealed to the killer. This is something that's been asked for a while by the community. I'm glad they're going that route. And also, it looks like they are also going to be adding that once you get your third crow that's circling above your head, that you will lose collision, meaning that you can't be body blocked for the duration of an entire trial. I think the only people who will hate this change are the people who actively abuse these things. like how can you have a negative reaction to either of those changes if you are not somebody who actively abuses those? If you're somebody who's like, I'm gonna really punish the killer for sweating, so we're just gonna hide for the rest of the match. Yeah, heck you. If you're one of those people that's like, I'm Wraith and I blocked this guy in the corner, now he's just gonna die. Yeah, heck you. Goodbye to both of you. See ya. No longer. Let's see map offerings. The divisive, heck yeah. The problem is that like just maps and DBD are so divisive. Map offerings are so divisive just because like it's essentially like a free win for whoever side that brings it, right? Because if you're bringing like Doctor with a full skill check build to Midwich, like unless he just plays the worst game of Dead by Daylight ever, he's gonna win. Vice versa, if somebody brings like a Batum offering on a 4-man Swift with the best perks and items, like yeah, of course they're gonna win. So it just serves to like create miserable experiences and miserable matches. So yeah, moving forward, map offerings will no longer guarantee an appearance of a map, rather increases chances by 20%. Wait, we've had this before. Wait a minute. We used to have, way back in my day, we used to have really, really old offerings that were not just the green map offerings, but there were different variations of like common map offerings that only slightly increased map offering chances. But I guess this is just how map offerings are going to be in general now. They're just going to do that at smaller chance effect. Also, it looks like they will remain secret during load-in, which is kind of interesting. I think that's I don't know, I kind of like that because like I feel like when like I see like a Larry's flip over, I'm like, oh man, oh boy, here comes the Ghostface match. You know, it's either Scratch Mirror or Ghostface or Wraith. It's gonna be a bad time because especially in high MMR, like Scratch Mirror Meyer just like wall hacks while proxy camping and just forces trades the entire game. So it definitely loses the magic. So and vice versa, if I'm like playing killer and like the survivors are sending me to like Batum or Garden, I won't even see it. So I won't have to go through that whole process of like alt F4ing my game going back in. And it's like with all this as well, like this is only a 20% boost to the potentiality to get it. So even with it hidden, it's not even a guarantee that you'll even go there. Which would be really funny. I see the scenario in the future already happening of somebody like going, somebody brought a map offering because it didn't turn over, and now I'm on Batum, and it was just like he went to Batum naturally. the offering was like a shroud or something. I can't wait for a lot of people to make idiots out of themselves. It's gonna be really funny. But overall, yeah, if you can't fix the maps, then like might as well make map offerings not as potent. Let's see spawn rules. This one I'm gonna actually have to read because like this one I can't just gauge from just skimming it. We're changing the default survivor spawn rules to ensure that each survivor will spawn 12 meters of one another. Oh, so this is talking about people spawning spread apart and just insta-winning games, because that's just stupid and silly. Yeah, one of the things, I actually talk about this in a video that's not yet out. I'm making a longer video talking about like specific perks, and one of them I'm talking about is corrupt intervention, and how corrupt intervention, despite its nerf, is still super important, because if survivors spawn spread out right next to gens, there literally is zero counterplay. Even if you're playing some of the best killers in the game, like there's just like not anything you can really do about that. Like you just get hosed for absolutely zero reason, and it feels really, really, really bad. So it's interesting that they even thought about this, because this is something that's just felt bad about the game for like a long time on the killer side, and it's one of those things that I did not think they would ever address. But hey, that's awesome. That's great. Thank you. Let's see. Improved AFK bot detention. Players that use AFK bots can be frustrating having your trial. I can't remember the last time I ran into one of these, to be honest. We're working on improvements for our detection so systems can quickly identify and penalize them. Like I said, I don't remember the last time I ran into one of these guys. I literally don't. I didn't even know they were still a thing. But hey, awesome. I guess. Bulk blood point spending. To speed up the general blood web activity, we're adding a button that will allow you to spend blood points in bulk. Woo! I do think that when I get close to cap and I have to sit there just constantly hitting that middle button over and over and over and over again, it does get pretty draining. It's better than what it used to be, but it definitely gets pretty draining, so I will definitely take that. A quest system. They've talked about this before, but nothing ever came of it. See, the quest system is part of a larger update to archives and rifts, so expect more information in an article dedicated to that. We'll be working the challenge system as well as daily rituals to reduce the grind, making it easier to earn rewards, increasing the level of fun. You know, I love challenges and dailies. Like I literally chop at the bits for challenges to come out. I feel so motivated as a player when I have challenges. I'm very task oriented as a person. So if you're like, hey, there's like 12 challenges and the new tome's out, I'm like, oh, let's go. So if you're gonna make that more fun, absolutely. I think what I really want to see from this is they're making it easier to earn the rewards. I hope we really start not having those challenges that are like play the game poorly. Like there was literally at one point a challenge that was like get hit through a window while playing Survivor. Why would I actively want to do that? There's so many challenges that are still sitting there undone in my tome that are like sit inside the killer's terriers for 60 seconds as Dwight. I'm like, yeah, let me just throw the game real quick. Sorry, my bad, guys. It's ridiculous. So hopefully that's kind of the route they're going with that. Perk loadouts in preview. After a successful round of A/B testing, we'll be allowing players to see their own perk loadouts while in the lobby, as well as additional perk loadout slots. So I'll take more perk loadout slots. I'm always looking for more build slots. As for the allowing players to see their own loadouts when in a lobby, I think I'm in the A testing of this because I've had this for a while. Like that little like where you can see like above your head while you're loading in the menu, like your 4 perks up there. Like I've had that. I was part of the in testing on that. So yeah, this is not going to affect me at all. But unless it means something else, and then I'm just a big dumb YouTuber who doesn't know anything, which is like most of them. So like, hey, I'm fitting in, I guess. Let's see. This is the stuff they're talking about for round 1. Let's look at the round 2 stuff, the phase 2 stuff that's up here. That is not yet talked about in depth. See, anti-slugging, continued improvements. So anti-tunneling and anti-camping. So they're essentially going after every like comeback mechanic for killer other than basement. Obviously that's going to depend on how they handle that, but like, I don't know. I think just like with the go next thing, you got to be able to identify good tunneling from like nefarious tunneling versus like bad slugging from nefarious slugging, that sort of thing. Because using it as a catch-up tool is not bad, but if you're just doing it out the gate, it can be very unhealthy for the game. So will they be able to differentiate that? I don't know, but we will see. An MMR update is pretty interesting. I know a lot of people are saying that the MMR just like outright doesn't work. I think I definitely feel it. My matches have definitely like increased in difficulty since I started win streaking. I definitely see my matches are harder overall, but I do think there's a lot of times that people do get really, really low hour survivors in their lobby and things seem a little janky. Absolutely. So hopefully they're trying to edge out the parts of that that are awful. I know a lot of people just want the MMR system gone. Realistically, they've poured too much time into that for that to be a realistic thing that they do. But hopefully this update does improve it. Map and key item balancing. Is key item like they're not talking about keys? Like my brain was like, what keys? But are they just talking about like, what do they mean by key item balancing? Do they just mean items in general? Because I do think that item's still a little bit too potent in DBD. I think a lot of times like a well-placed styptic or syringe could literally change the course of a game. And I think any one thing in Dead by Daylight changing the course of a game is kind of wild. Obviously we talked about maps earlier, is that's the whole reason that we need to adjust map offerings, is because if we're not going to balance the maps, might as well make it not as easy to just go to the busted maps. So hopefully that's where they're going with that. Looking down at quality of life, keyboard and mouse and consoles, woo! That's great, that's awesome. Custom game improvements, hopefully this is making like more options that you can set. I know a lot of people have been wanting to run with killer bots in custom games for a while. Obviously they have to make the AI for each of them, but being able to practice against a specific killer is something people have wanted for a long time too. I think in general also I would like to see enhancements to the spectator mode. Spectator mode is kind of buggy and weird and I'm sure if you've watched CompTV at all, you definitely notice that right away. So hopefully that's what they mean by that. Also, accessibility improvements are coming. We'll always take more of those. I'm hoping to see more implementations of like anti-phobia stuff for like clown and plague. Prestige rewards, I'll always take those. Somebody was talking about like, bro, there's 400% blood point bonus on 2v8. You gotta go play Survivor. I'm like, why? So I can P100 another character and get jack shit nothing? Yeah, let me get right on that. I have zero motivation to get another P100. Unless it's a character, like IP that comes out, I'm like, oh my god, Predator's added to DBD. Now I can do AVP. Like, then I'll P100. But other than that, I just genuinely do not care. So I will always take prestige rewards because right now I feel so unmotivated to P100 anybody. And reduce login steps. I don't know what that means. But hey, maybe it's just like less loading screens going into the game. I don't know. I think at the bottom where it says and more, including bug fixes for long-standing issues, please fix the turrets on the xenomorph. Sometimes they just randomly become invincible, and this has been a bug since the PTB of the character. I've submitted it, multiple people have submitted it, and it's never been fixed. And it doesn't happen all the time. It only happens like 1 in 10 games. When it happens, it's like super frustrating. So please finally fix that. I would really love you to fix that. Also, a collision pass for the character would be wonderful because it sucks so badly when you aim it at Survivor dead on with the tail attack and it sails right through them and hits the wall behind them because technically you weren't deep enough into the Survivor's hitbox, so it technically registered the wall first instead of the Survivor, even though you technically hit the Survivor visually. Mechanically on the game side you did not, and it's the worst thing ever. But yeah, there are a plethora of other killers that have long-standing bugs. Skull Merchant's full of them right now, Knight's full of them right now, but Twins has always been full of them. Houndmaster's still pretty clunky, so hopefully we're addressing a lot of those. So yeah. But that is my very, very brief assessment, my views and thoughts about the quality of life update that is coming through. We're actually getting a Project Health. Isn't that crazy? That's insane. Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. It's wild. So tell me what you think about these wonderful changes that they're going to be implementing. You know what's funny? One thing I was going to say as an aside that I actually thought about not including. I've seen a lot of content creators have this take that it's like, well, DBD is going to be boring for the next 3 months because we don't get to make anything. I'm like, brother, this is going to be better for everyone in the game overall. Please let us have a health patch. I don't care about your YouTube channel. I want to have more fun in a more stable game. Forgive me if I don't give a shit about your, oh, well, this new killer is clearly S tier and they're going to be OP, and they end up being C tier by like a month or 2 into their existence. Like, I'm sorry we're going to miss out on that content. It's going to break my heart. But I would hazard a guess that maybe the health of the game being better is more important than your YouTube channel. My bad. My bad. Sorry, I've heard that thing more than once today, and I'm like, brother, how in your own head do you have to be like, darn, I can't profit off the behaviors, new content. Cheat. What a big L. Like, oh, holy moly. Anyways, yeah, like I said, what do you guys think of the wonderful changes? What are you most excited for? What are you kind of nervous about? So, yeah, let me know. But other than that, that's going to be it for today's surprise video. And I will see you in the next one. But if I do not, I will see you when I see you. Bye.